I wanted to start quickly with Apple again, touching on a topic that we covered, I think, a week or two ago. And now I've got my new 2018 MacBook Pro, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be recording this podcast. I guess we'll know eventually. And if you don't notice the difference, then you know it's done its job. Um, but the interesting thing is, obviously, it's a very modern design. I'm happy that I hung out for a couple of generations of it later. Like, the old adage of never getting the first version of it, I tend to find helps. But I just wanted to touch on again this idea, which I think we covered previously, but now I'm sort of practically seeing it in front of me, which is because of the choices and the decisions that they've made about what to put out there in terms of their product line. Like, I could have done without the Touch Bar, for instance, on this laptop, but I couldn't get a laptop that had all the, I guess, the guts that I needed unless I got the one with the Touch Bar. I would have loved to have gotten the MacBook Air, for instance, because to me, I find that design, that wedge design, better, because if I'm doing typing on it, it's a bit more better for that. Not that this one isn't, but it's just one of those things. And I just want to touch on again, like, why is it so difficult for them just to provide? I guess the short answer to that is that if they did that, then you wouldn't be buying what they want you to buy.
Yeah, and look, there's two ways to look at this. Apple's always made you buy what they wanted you to buy because they knew what you wanted when you didn't. But, to probably, I guess stick on the theme that we've sort of followed a little bit in the last few weeks is I'm no longer sure that Apple actually knows what you want before you know. And that's why we see these products where, for the first time ever in Apple history, you're buying stuff that you don't think you need. That's weird for Apple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having said all of that, I mean, it's obviously it's a really good laptop, obviously, so I'm not knocking it. And just for our purposes, although none of you would know this, the old MacBook would be its fans would be kicking in right about now because recording the podcast tends to push it a bit more. I'm not actually hearing any fan noise, so I'm going to have a better time in the editing bay with getting the audio sort of cleaned up. It'll be less of an effort, which is really good.
And that's a good point, Ben, because we're used to Apple taking things away. Like taking away a floppy drive, taking away a button or a DVD drive or something like that. So when they add things, you really expect that you're going to be using them.
Exactly. And of course, I'm in dongle world, of course, which isn't too bad because I think I'll only be using it during our podcasting or any other type of production type of use, I guess. Because most of the rest of the time, as I was finding even with my old MacBook, I wasn't really using the ports that much, which is testament to the fact that I think we're moving more towards a wireless future with a lot of this stuff.
So true. How much did the dongle cost?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to explain how much that cost, but it did add to the cost of the machine, unfortunately.
It's only an $80 accessory from Apple.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not from Apple. They don't sell one that had all the ports I needed, but which is interesting. They sell a cable for each version, so you.
Of course they do.
So you'd have to have like 10 cables, whereas I wanted it just in a hub. But it's hilarious, I guess, with all that sort of stuff. And the other thing I just wanted to mention too was you take a deep breath when you swap out a production machine. I think when you're just using it for personal use, you can get by, but when replace one of your key components to doing something like this, the first time you do it, and I'm trying, to remain calm while we're recording, is that it's going to do what it should be doing.
And just on that, Ben, did you actually transfer all your settings and data using whatever they use now, iCloud or Time Machine or whatever it is, from your old machine to your new machine, or do you just start fresh?
So I just started fresh. I mean, effectively, it's the same as the old one. It's just that I set it up from scratch as opposed to transferring everything over. And that was just to make sure that, not that I think it really matters in the Mac OS world, but I don't know, maybe it's a holdover for when I used to do Windows, that you want to start fresh with the operating system.
That's it. You don't want to download a whole lot of settings because you'll never find out which one's wrong if something goes wrong.
Exactly.